Hey there, hi, welcome to the channel. I am Garrett and thank you for spending some time with me today because in this video, we are talking about some dated interior design styles that are secretly timeless and how to make them work and last forever in your home. Now, the first style we have to talk about is one of the most popular architectural styles of the last 45 years, and that is Colonial. Now, Colonial gets associated with being like old or heavy, dated, and a lot of people will see these homes and be like, yeah, I don't like it, everything has to go, and we have to change everything. And that's kind of this like fight or flight mentality where you see something you don't like, it has to go. But the reality is Colonial serves as a really good foundation for building something modern on top of. And what I mean by that is Colonial details are great to incorporate no matter what the design of that home is, be it something that's ultra modern or really timeless, or you're going for something differently. If you want to do like French country in a Colonial home, you can do that as long as you keep those Colonial details because they tend to be really neutral. Some of those details are going to be baseboards and the trim on doors, the doors themselves, cabinetry door profiles, even like I see a lot of times people take out Colonial style fireplace mantles because they're like, it's old and it's dated, and it's like, is it or is it timeless and classic? Those are the details that are really good to stick with. And then we can modernize some of the things. You can bring in ultra modern, really contemporary furniture and modern color schemes to really update a Colonial style home without having to like completely gut and rip everything out and start from scratch. A conversation that I have had with many clients as of lately is actually all about flooring. A lot of their homes have thinner plank flooring. That was really popular with Colonial style homes. And they're like, do I take it all out and do wide plank, or do I replace it with like an LVP or something? And I always say to them, and like I said, multiple clients have had this conversation with me, and I always say, I would much rather you refinish, stain that something different, lighten and brighten it up, go for something more neutral instead of like a really heavy red oak or orangey kind of color, and do just an expansion of what's there. It's a really good quality material, so why not stick with it? And that's the whole point, the takeaway I want you to have here. A lot of these newer homes are thrown together really quickly, and they lack style in a specific area, as where some older homes, you get a lot of that, and the quality actually tends to be pretty decent. So that's what I want to preserve and keep because it's going to save us a lot of money on the budget. That means we can do a lot more in other places. Colonial details I look to add into a home are going to be in hardware, like if we're talking about we're redoing a kitchen, add a decorative edge onto a countertop, add some hardware that has a little bit of that traditional reference to it. Maybe instead of doing a shaker door, we do something with a little bit of an extra trim detail. Boom, it's close enough, it references enough of those details that it feels timeless, it feels classic, and you can then apply some modern colors or materials to that to really make it feel updated and relevant and timeless always, but reflective of your personal style. Now, another dated style that I see people hate on, and I love to hate on it too, let's be real, is actually Hollywood Regency. But there is like a caveat here because Hollywood Regency as of late has slipped into the glam style. And that's what we all like to kind of poke a little fun at. But if you like that glam style and look where you have a lot of reflective surfaces, a lot of tufting and details and layers and all of the things, I love that, okay? I think it can be great when it's applied to the Hollywood Regency style. Now, Hollywood Regency is actually kind of an offshoot of MidCentury, and you can have it in like a MidCentury home. You can also have it in more of a Georgian or a Colonial style home, but it's a great style because it has a lot of glamour, a lot of polish. It has an emphasis on scale, proportion, and grandeur. However, it also has a great sense of polish to it, and warmth is the most important thing to remember. So when you have a glam style, a lot of times you'll see like a mirrored piece of furniture with pewter trim. Ooh, yeah, okay, like that's very glam. But if that pewter trim was gold, it would be Hollywood Regency. And that's what I see all of the time, like on Facebook Marketplace here locally. I see that mirrored furniture that was super on trend, like 10 years ago, listed for dirt cheap, but the quality is really good. I mean, mirrors are good quality, right? It's glass, okay? It's glass, it has to be built really sturdy because they're very heavy. The quality tends to be good. So if I could get a piece like that at a really good deal and then repaint all of the trim to be gold, that's a really good Hollywood Regency style piece. Now, Hollywood Regency also has a focus on grandeur and scale and proportion, so you may see oversized vases and big floral arrangements. And that's okay and that's fine. Great places to add some of this detail into your space. Look for light fixtures and chandelier. Pretty much any style, as long as it has like a gold detail, will work beautifully in this style. Crystal details, cut crystal is really great for this. A lot of those things lean into the glam style without being tacky, without being overdone, without being not timeless, but Hollywood Regency has so many of those wonderful details that are very timeless and can be incorporated into any style that has a more traditional sensibility to it. So these are pieces to think about in your space, even if you're not committed to this overall style. I get it. It's a lot. It's not modern. It's not the direction things are headed in right now, but that doesn't mean it can't be timeless if it's done well. And with that said, there is a big difference between Hollywood Regency and glam. And when I speak to a client about a glam style, I always advise they lean into that Hollywood Regency a little bit so that we have that timeless sensibility and classic feeling in the space, and it won't feel dated or like it's over decorated or done. And that's something really important. You always want to make sure in your home that it's not overdone and that you are using a good sensibility when you're decorating, whether that's in your color scheme or the furniture choices, the materials you're choosing, which is why I say work with a designer. You can always book a one-on-one virtual design consultation with me where you can show me your home and I can answer some of your questions. You can book that using the link in the description box down below or by going to intro.co/GarrettLeChic. Now, while I work on every space, big and small, be it apartments or, McMansions, that's fine too. I have a lot of clients that come to me with very specific styles of architecture, okay, from mid-century to those colonial homes. But one of my favorites to work on, and something a lot of people trust me with, surprisingly, is actually cabin design. I have a lot of clients who have cabins for whatever reason. Like, I never thought that would be my niche, but a lot of people trust me with it because I think they know I'm not just gonna say paint all of the wood. And that's one of the best parts about cabins and cabin design is the wood and the natural detail. But what I always advise my clients is like, hey, we're not gonna paint all of this because why would we? Okay, like we have great wood, we're not gonna get rid of it. But how do we take and break this up? How do we provide a strong enough grounding element? Because that's what I see as the issue with cabins and why they feel dated. There's just a lot of heaviness there. There's a lot of visual static and movement visually where things just appear to be busy and you cannot focus in on them. They feel really warm and comfortable, and that's great, but sometimes using too many layers or too many details or leaning too much into the like cutesy side of things can be your downfall. So when I'm working on a cabin, I advise my clients to say any wall we have that we can paint, okay, like if it's a drywall wall and we're gonna paint it, let's take it into a easy to see but not heavy color. So off-whites and creamy tones. I may go for something a little darker. I love a moody tone in a cabin because it really gives a lot of that warmth. But when you have something that's a really stark contrast with wood, it will stand out. So if you paint the walls white next to wood, it's going to stand out. Sometimes that's a good thing. But in a cabin where you have more wood than white, I don't want the focus to be on a big white wall. So instead of using a stark white, let's go for a creamy white, something with some softness to it that doesn't compete. Then let's look at some darker colors maybe that are really moody or a little heavier and saturated. I'm going to take whatever wall color we're choosing. Like I just advised a client to do green, a natural muted green tone. I want to pull that into the space somehow in some of the details and accessories. I also want to be consistent about wood tones. I don't need to have a lot of competition, so I'm going to aim for two of them. One being the wood that's like, everything is built out of, and another that's maybe a little darker to provide a little bit more of that grounding element. Focus in on what feels and looks natural and authentic, otherwise known as noble materials in your space, and then we can start layering in some color, but we want it to be in those natural tones that feel authentic to that space. So focus in less on patterns, more on color, things that are natural and moodier to make that space feel luxurious and elevated and timeless and classic. Speaking of making your home feel timeless and classic, I love interior design. It is my life's passion, just like many of you that are watching and our subscriber family who we would love to have you as a part of. Please take a moment, hit that subscribe button and join us. Become a part of our GarrettLeChic family. We post interior design related content to help you elevate your home, to have a little bit of fun, and to learn a little bit more. So we would love to have you as a part of our family. Please hit subscribe, and I would also greatly appreciate if everyone watching could give this video a like. Hi, Beast. Hi there, hello. Hi, what's the matter? What are you interested in, huh? He knows I have a secret treat here. This dog would do anything for a treat. You all want to see how Arden is? See how he is. Come here. Come here. And of course now he's gonna crunch it up and eat it on the sofa, but that was cute. While Arden enjoys his little treat, let's talk about the next dated style that is actually timeless and I secretly love, and that is mid-century. Now mid-century obviously is very popular right now, or it was, and it kind of comes in and out, but there's two separate niches of mid-century that I want to talk to you about. And when I say niches, I mean like there's mid-century architecture and then there's mid-century furniture pieces. I don't personally feel like the two of them belong together. I think if you have a mid-century home with mid-century pieces, it feels like a time capsule. And that to me is like, okay, but I love a mid-century home done in Hollywood Regency. I love a colonial home with mid-century furniture pieces. So if you have a mid-century home, respect the home, respect the details and the elements, and if you're doing renovations on it, you're doing updates on it, try to be as authentic as you can be. Don't just go to this tile store and be like, yeah, that's cute, okay, it'll work. Well, yeah, but okay, but how can we take that and do it more mid-century? Maybe it's the shape of the tile, maybe it's the actual color or the finish of it. Those sorts of things are great. But when it comes to mid-century furniture, I love to mix in a good mid-century piece to a lot of different spaces. And I always say, add an antique or add a piece of vintage to a space. Well, I say vintage because it could be mid-century. It doesn't have to be an antique. You can get a really cool vintage mid-century piece and bring that in. Now here's the important thing when you are decorating with mid-century, be it a mid-century home or mid-century furniture pieces. Don't do everything mid-century. And you know, I would go as far as to say, don't do everything colonial, don't do everything Hollywood Regency. Like none of these styles, you should stick to that closely and do every single thing in. I love to mix different things together. So if you're doing mid-century home, add some postmodern into there to have a really fun and vibrant space. But if you're doing mid-century furniture pieces in a colonial home, great, mix a few of them in to give a little bit of a reference to get that modern feeling without committing to every single piece being that. One more thing that's interesting about mid-century design is that there's overlap within it. So if you look at authentic mid-century homes that still have a lot of their furniture, you'll see that mid-century sofas have a lot of tufting on them, for example. That's not a modern detail. That's a more classic detail. And a lot of the wood tones used, a lot of the pieces, there's a lot of Oriental inspiration used in mid-century design that I would not say is particularly modern. I would say is very classic or timeless or traditional. So mid-century can be a mix of things. It's nice to have reference points to it in a space without committing to every single thing being that style, especially in a mid-century home. Now, another style that a lot of people view as being dated that I think is secretly timeless is actually Mediterranean. And Mediterranean has a couple of niches. Obviously, we know like the 1920s Spanish architecture. Yeah, nobody's questioning whether that's timeless or not. Okay, we're talking more about that sort of Tuscan influence or, you know, coastal Mediterranean influence on homes. A lot of people view it as being dated because it can be a little bit heavy. And I will give it that. The heaviness is something that maybe you should work on upgrading or eliminating out of those spaces, but that Mediterranean influence has always been timeless and classic. Always, always, always. I mean, you can look back through historic architecture, looking at that 1920s Spanish design. You also have Italionettes from the 1800s. Like, these are really classic styles of architecture that serve as influence for a lot of these Mediterranean style homes that were built in the early 2000s, but maybe we're just not seeing as much right now. And here's the thing with those spaces. They tend to be heavy, they tend to have darker colors and more ornate finishes. And those are the things we want to neutralize a little bit. So like a Tuscan style kitchen, they tend to be built with really good quality, but just really dark materials. So if you say, I really love the wood cabinetry, okay, let's brighten and update the walls a little bit to be a creamier color, like an antique white really works beautifully with a Tuscan style home, and then we upgrade the countertops or potentially the flooring to be something a little bit brighter so that we get some more light. It feels more refreshed. It has more of that Italianate feeling versus some of that heavier Tuscan style. And with some of the Mediterranean style homes, I personally think it's all about the furnishings. Furnishings in Mediterranean style homes can be so heavy, so weighty, so ornate, while simplifying them and going for something that's a little more neutral and actually a little more streamlined, not contemporary, not modern, but just more streamlined, can be a really good way to update those spaces, make them feel luxurious, expensive, gorgeous, stately, and a lot of these spaces are designed to have heavier furniture, so they're a larger scale, like bigger floor plans, more space. Using furniture that's more streamlined actually will make those spaces feel bigger and allow you to focus in on some of the architectural details that they may have. A lot of these spaces have arched windows and beautiful trim details and, oversized moldings, and we want to see all of that, okay? I don't want it to be distracted by that by, a big clunky sofa. I want to see all of that. So using streamlined or simplified color schemes and furniture pieces is going to let you do that. Here's the most important takeaway about this entire video, about anything you hear in design. Your home will always feel timeless and classic if it reflects your style and the things you really like, as opposed to feeling like that's the thing that belongs here and what everybody else is going to want to see. Focus in on what you like and your home will always be timeless and classic. Now that we talked about some dated interior design styles that are actually classic, let's talk about some dated trends that are not and are never coming back. Be sure you check out that video right over here, and I will see you over there.